This time on Custom Works, you're going to get updated. Oh yeah. Right, so this week on Custom Works, what we're going to be looking at is the 60s truck and the nightmare with those wings. How was that resolved, if you remember from a while back? We're going to be looking at that and looking at how we get that super cool shape. Also, like, that's been difficult, but wow, the Meat Wagon has had some real hurdles to get over. So we'll be looking at that in some detail as well. And I'll be running through just a few things we've done with the air ride, with the gas system, very similar things, and some of the electrics that we've put in it. That really is, it's absolutely riddled with pipes, wires and things that make other things work. But like I say, if you want a deep fat fryer in the back of your car, you got to suffer, but my God, it's going to be worth it. Well, let's get to the workshop. Okay, so still on back of the 60s truck. I think the wing is now in its right place, and I've done a couple of bits of like of blending in, and here's one. Obviously this is rough and not to the exact shape, but what I had here was, you know, between here and here there was just nothing. So I pulled in a piece of dye bond and then backfilled that with some filler foam. That has got me this shape, and now what I'll do, I'll get that into shape, fibreglass it, and then fill over it. And if, you know, if something really is that deep and that sort of out of shape, doing it in filler foam first, getting that shape, then going over it in fibreglass, just saves you having like, you know, like 40mm thick Bondo. Want lots of fibreglass, very little Bondo. Right then, we have moved on a bit. Actually, we've moved on a lot. This is really coming together now. We had a lot of trouble with this fender and this wing, you know, the positioning of the wing, and we did a lot of moving, filling, glassing. Wait a minute, cut that, move it, fill it, glass it again, and over. So this had a lot of joins. So what I've done, I bondoed it back on and got it all in shape, and now I've just gone on it, over it, with a couple of layers of fiberglass coarse strand mat, and really just to make sure, you know, nothing's going to happen, because we really messed about with this. This is just a sort of belt and braces safeguard that nothing's going to crack, everything's going to stay as it was. But that is done now. We're glassed up to the cab, and also I have sort of fiberglass this. This is just cardboard with one coat of fiberglass over it. Now, the reason I've only done one coat is I didn't want to, like, you know, make the cardboard literally sodden with resin and, like, you know, lose its shape. So I've just gone over very lightly. I'm looking around it. I've got some issues. I've got like a high point here that I will probably cut out and patch before I go over it anymore. But this sort of one layer just makes this stiff enough to sort of work with. Now it's sort of resin proof enough that I can really build on that to get it just as strong as the other side. Also, I've made the other side of the bumper. There's something that needs a lot of sanding. Good Lord. Now what we've got at the minute there is just loads of expanding foam that isn't fully dry. Therefore I can't sculpt. Always remember, if you can, leave foam overnight to dry, because you'll go in a bit and it's like a, you know, it'll be like still raw in the middle, and that, obviously that's no good. You want it dry through and through, and you can sculpt it really nicely. But that's there, that's drying. What's going on now though is on this side, I'm actually smoothing some stuff out. So then, on this part, we've got some smooth filler. it's actually sort of coming together. There's a lot of problems here. Like there's a slight curve in this. It's really tight curve at one end and comes to almost being straight just here. So there's a lot of filling to get this so it looks right from the back. At the minute, it looks really sort of wibbly wobbly and not very good at all. So I'll be filling in there, working on this, and also working in here, which of course has been very much fiberglassed over. So now I can fill over some of this. And don't forget, the filling never brings that much strength, but it can bring a little bit of rigidity to things, particularly if it's going to be quite thick. And by running my hand down here, I know that, you know, this has got undulation to it, so I'm going to have to fill in there quite a lot. But what I will start off with is a fiberglass base filler, you know, and that really has got some structural strength, and I'll get it about there with that, and then I'll skim it in and finish it with a finer, smoother filler. But it's all coming on. These things don't just happen overnight, but then all that side has pretty much come together in the best part of a morning. So, you know, once you have got those sort of datum points of shape, filling the bits in between, not as hard as you think it's going to be. Look at this wing then, so it's still very flexible, not very good, and I've got to make this shape up the back. There's bit of cardboard here, some filler foam there. It's not big enough to go over with something big, so what I'm going to do here is using the old non-expanding Insta-Stick stuff. I'm just going to bring in some foam on the back of this panel, which I'll be able to sand to shape and then glass over. This sort of thing, you've got to have a better shape than that. It's not good enough, you know. You need to smooth your form before you go on with the fiberglass. So I'm just going to put some on here. So here we go. Always with this stuff as well. Always buy the gun. Don't go with the non-gun one, because you've got no control. This way it lasts a lot longer. And there we go. First bit here came out a bit too, that's too much, that is. It's just going to slump down. But I think there's always like a watery bit at first. But you can see I went a bit thinner here, and I'll go back over this with another thin layer. And very quickly you can build up something like that to be nice and flat, so when you do glass it, everything's in line. To get a bit of filler on it, starting to get some shape in it. It's not quite right at the minute. It's not worth smoothing. We're still at that 40 grit stage, but it is getting there, and we are getting ever closer to this being the right shape, and then we can fill, we can prime, we can paint. That's a long way off, but it's nice to dream. Okay then, so an update on the Meat Wagon. It's so much we've done on the Meat Wagon, like hours and hours and hours of work, but it's all been really dull. Like, an olive goes on there, a nut goes on there, that type. You can imagine, can't you, like, what's this programme, like 15, 20 minutes long? After 5 minutes, everyone will be turning off with that rubbish. But let's have a look at what we've got from doing all that. So, under the bonnet then. So first up, we've got the leisure battery mounted just here. And this gives all the power to the appliances in the back. Some of this power goes through an inverter to 240. Some of it's just stepped up to 24 volt for a few different bits. But mainly, this powers the back. But it also powers the air ride as well. So we're never taking anything from our battery. Here we have a dual charge system. So that once this battery is filled up, the car will always charge this battery. We've got the 2 compressors in here. Now, these aren't super expensive compressors, and they're not like the compressors on the 60s truck that have got a duty cycle of like 100%. These are not that. But then again, this is not that kind of air system. This is just the sister bags to the rear, keeping the stock leaf springs and stock shocks, and we have got the bags in there just to lift it a little bit, because obviously there's quite a lot of weight in here. We've body dropped the whole thing as well, so it sits a lot lower than it should. So yeah, we sort of need those there. So we have 2 compressors just here, and this is just so important on an air ride system. This is a semi-automatic water separator. When it's not under load and no pressure, it will just let its water out itself. But when there's pressure in the system, it seals. It is vital to keep water out of an air ride system. It will rot the bags, it will ruin any valves, solenoids, anything. It will rust them out, and it just really shortens the life of everything. But on this, we've tried to keep water down to the minimum. So we have water separator. Also, down here, I'll just give a... We have this to a ball valve. It's on both these tanks. The drain outlet comes through this ball valve. We can empty all the air and water really, really easily just by turning that tap, you know, maybe once a week. Just get rid of that. The rest of the system vents itself, so we've got a very dry system here. Also under it, we've got 50 amp cutout as well. This protects everything, and it's like sort of RCD as well, so it just trips out and can be put back, you know, just so everything's nice and safe and nothing's going to go wrong. We've also done a lot of work underneath the van, so let's have a look at that. Wow, there's a lot of pipes and stuff underneath the Meat Wagon. It really is a lot of stuff. So, I don't know where to start, but probably the front's the best. So the first thing on the front, we've got the gas filler just here. It's like a wing-mounted gas filler, and that fills the gas tank, which is down there. But it can be filled just at a normal sort of service station, anywhere that sells LPG gas. Easily just, and it fills it up, so no changing of bottles. So that's the first thing. Second thing here, we've just got the dirty water tank. This is from the hand wash basin that's inside, and to UK law, if you've got like a, you know, commercial sort of van selling stuff, it's a business, you know, any water that drops out is considered to be like industrial waste, so we can't have any of that. So we've got this tank, water drains down into it, then it comes out here through a hole in the fender, and this has got a little sort of square drive for a tap for a key, and all that water will fall out of there. So again, there's no getting under, emptying a tank, it's just the turn of one thing, all that wastewater goes out. Moving forward, we have this, which you can't see behind, but this has got the regulator for the gas, a few T-pieces going off to the gas. We've got a piece off here that goes to an external off tap for the gas, which you've got to have. Got to have an external off tap to cut the gas off, and then 3 off taps inside, 1 for each appliance as well. We might even have to put another one in, but try not to do that because god damn, there's so many taps. Plate. Just to stop anything hitting. It's not like a skid guard, because if you look on this, that's the bottom of the car. That's the bit that had hit the road. So we are clear there. It's just that, I know some of that gas stuff, you know, probably a bit delicate. Stone, brick in the road, armoured badger, who knows what could be out there. So moving across to the other side, now there's no protective guard on this yet, but what we've got here is 2 solenoids. One to drop the bags, one that lets the air through to pump the bags up. So we've got this on a nice momentary switch inside the cab. We're going to make some sort of self-leveling device using a reed switch and ingenuity. I don't quite know how that's going to work out yet. But yeah, we've got all of this in here. Everything is in trunking, most of the pipes, all of the wires. So I'll make a protective guard for this. And I think that's about it. We've got some more gas lines coming down here and another protective guard because they bend and go up into the back and they power, you know, the deep fat fryer and everything. But it really has been a lot of work and a lot of things, you know, massive learning curve. These are some of the first bags that we fitted on the back of this, and it must be a couple of years ago. And the fittings for the airlines are in there, and we really don't want to change them. But sadly, that was in 6mm, so I've had to go between 6 and 8mm, and that's meant some adapters. Just a lot of quite difficult bits and bobs to get, but we've got them all now. You know, all the air system as well. There is none. I know a few weeks back we did the thing with those sort of push fit things, and they're just not up to the job. To the point I'd consider them to be dangerous. You know, what you really need is a sleeve inside the nylon pipe, an olive bolted up. It can never go nowhere, and we've done that on every single thing on this. So everything is super safe, and we're not going to get any leaks. Right, so here we are. We're testing out. See how good or how quickly or slowly the Meat Wagon goes up. You know what, that goes up pretty quick and doesn't really need too much from the compressors either. Running those 2 compressors on here, both tanked, and it's only really in a sister bag as well, but that gets that up and off the floor pretty quick. But how quick do we go down? So during this test, we have got the front of the Meat Wagon actually up on blocks so we can get it easily back on the ramp, because the front sits down lower and it's hard to get on the ramp. So this is slightly skewed, but now we're going to see just how quick this comes down as well. So then, hot rod legend, lower the truck. And there it is, it's coming down. You're not going to slam it and get sparks, but that is pretty good. It goes up, comes down. And the reason that this is so slow, and just on a sister bags, is that of course the body's dropped. So all of our suspension movement goes to moving the body lower to the ground. But that, I'm going to say that's a win. Yay! So this week, not the crazy driving action, the cruising around the streets of last week, but vital things, and all vital things that come together to make a great custom project. Okay then, so that is all we have time for another week. All we have time for, it's all I've done. More like. Yeah, so I'll be back next week. What about we actuate and make that Continental kit open and close on the back of the 60s truck? Oh yes, I think you know what? I'm going to say that is what we're going to do next week. Before that though, 7 days will go by and you're going to have just a ton of admins to do. So, leave a comment below, thumbs up, bell icon, share the video. Do you know someone who would like to see this video? Share the video with them. And don't forget, you can go to our Etsy store and buy a t-shirt. Anyway, I thank you very much and good night.